Okay, guys, so like I told you, you have a substitute today, so I expect your absolute best behavior, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You will be sent to the office. If not during this period, I will address it tomorrow. And guys, I just don't really want to have this conversation, so please be on your best behavior. Anyways, let's talk about distributive property. So something that we've been working with in Mr. class, but I'm not quite convinced that we fully understand it. So I want to give us this lesson and this period and this practice so we can really make sure we understand it. And then, like I said, tomorrow you're going to have a test on combining like terms, which we've been practicing the last 3 days, and distributive property. So I'm going to do the first few on the sheet with you. It is due at the end of the class period, so you need to make sure you're utilizing your time wisely. And then at the end of the period, turn it into Miss Regan or the substitute. You can put it in the blue basket at the front of the classroom. If you do finish at the end of the period and you have time, you need to sit silently and read a book or work on work from other classrooms. You are not to be, you're just not to be goofing off. And actually there is another worksheet that the substitute has that you can get started on that is due tomorrow. So Thursday at the end of the period, you'll have time to work on that after the test. So again, use your time wisely. Anyways, let's get to it. So distributive property. I really want to take a minute for us to talk about what the word distribute means. Distribute means to hand out, we'll say, to give out. So I'm distributing these tests to you. So I'm handing them to each of you. That's what it means to distribute. So when we look at this first one is 2 times 4 plus 9w. Remember that these parentheses mean times. So when we see a problem like this, we need to use the distributive property. So if I'm distributing this, I'm going to give my 2 to my 4, and then I'm going to give my 2 to my 9w. And literally what I'm going to do, since I know that it means multiplication, is I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is 8, and then 2 times 9, which is 18w. I don't know what w is. I just know that if I have 9 of them and I multiply it by 2, I get 18 w's. That is the answer to number 1. I want you to box in your answer. Okay? I want to be able to easily see your answer. Make sure you have the name at the top because I am going to grade this. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's 20 questions, so 20 points. 1 point each. And I put that right there. Okay, let's do the second one. This one's a tricky one. It's a negative 8 times 6x plus 3. Negative 8 times 6x plus 3. You guys, grab a calculator if you need to. I don't care if you use a calculator. The most important thing is that you're understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. Let me move this up and let me actually do my focus. Okay, it should not be blurry now. So if you know what negative 8 times 6 is off the top of your head, awesome. If not, you would put it in the calculator like this. 8 to the negative, remember put your number, then your negative, times 6 equals negative 48, which makes sense because a negative times a positive is a negative. Don't forget your x. And then, so I distributed that there. I need to distribute that there. So now I'm looking at negative 8 times 3. 8 to the negative times 3. I get a negative 24. You write it just like that. Okay, let's do some more together. With distributive property here, it's negative 4 times d minus 5. So I'm going to distribute that negative 4 to my negative 4d and my negative 5. Okay? Negative 4 times negative 4, 4 to the negative times 4 to the negative, is a positive 16. That makes sense because a negative times a negative is positive. Negative 4 times negative 5. 4 times 5 is 20, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so positive 20. That is your answer. Okay? I'm going to do this one here. Again, distributive property. I'm distributing my negative 6 across the board. Negative 6 times 8p. You guys, I know what it is, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the calculator just in case. Negative 48p. Negative 6 times 3. 6 to the negative times 3. Negative 18. You guys, that makes sense. A negative times a positive is a negative. So my answer is negative 48p minus 18. 2 times 3v minus 8. So that means 3v minus 8 2 times. So 3v minus 8 times 3v minus 8. Or no, I'm sorry. That doesn't mean that. Forget what I just said. It means, it means you're just distributing across there. Well, I'm losing my mind here. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 8 is 16, and it's a negative 16. What it does mean, what I was trying to say, when you multiply something by 2, you're basically adding it to itself. So like 2 times 3 is really 3 plus 3. So this would be 3v minus 8 plus 3v minus 8. Well, if we added 2 3v's, we get 6v, and if we added negative 8 twice, we get negative 16. But that's what I was trying to say. Whew! Guys, I'm losing my mind here. Okay, ooh, they're trying to fool us here. This one looks a little different. This is 2 minus 5m times negative 5. Remember, anytime we see parentheses like that, it just means multiply. They also could have written this like this, just like they did the ones prior, but they're trying to trick us. Okay, so let's do distributive property. Same thing. You can distribute it here and distribute it there, or look at it this way and distribute it there. Okay, so negative 5 times 2. Negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. Negative 5 times a negative 5n is a positive 25m. Same thing if I did it this way. Negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. Negative 5 times a negative 5n. Negative times a negative equals a positive 25m. Okay? So you guys, looking ahead, that pretty much covers them all and how to do them. There's one tricky one I want to point out to you. You're doing this in class. You should have this finished by the end of the period. If you get stuck, you need to raise your hand and ask for help. Here, let's talk about this one real quick. Negative times 6 minus 4p. That sounds weird saying it that way, but basically you need to remember that there's an invisible 1 right here. Okay? So you would do a negative 1 times 6, which is negative 6. A negative 1 times a negative 4, which is a positive 4p. Okay? Don't forget your negative 1 there. It's an invisible 1. And actually it looks like here, don't forget your invisible 1 there. Okay? So I did 7 of them for you. You have 14 left to do on your own. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. You should be on your best behavior this class period. I'll hear about it otherwise. Thanks, guys.